Hey guys, thank you for being here. Couple people asked me to record this class because they couldn't make it. Some, they're on a different time frame, or some they had last minute obligations. So, in today's class, I'll try to cover as much as possible when it comes to trading in a very short period of time. So, this is an introductory class. This is more of a presentation class, and you know, kind of give you the main idea of what it takes to be um, a trader, right? Some people maybe they don't want that, right? So that's why they're not here. Maybe some people want to become traders, but they don't know where to start. So this kind of gives you the main idea around trading. All right. So like anything else, everything starts with the mindset. So in the beginning, I'll start with developing the mindset, right? And what does it take to get to the level where you're comfortable making a decision when it comes to trading? Because everybody out there is scared, right? How about if the market goes the opposite way? How about my trade doesn't work out? How about, right? There's so many things to get us out of this situation. Then it's almost impossible to make a decision, right? Because we don't have the mindset. So the main thing you have to focus on, it's there are two sides of the story when you're looking at the chart. First is the trader's mindset. That means seizing opportunities when you have them, right? So you're looking at the chart, you see a pattern, you see a certain coin or currency moving, or a certain stock. Because this works, once you learn how to trade, you can trade pretty much any other asset in the world. It doesn't have to be crypto necessarily. It can be Forex, you can trade stocks, you can trade commodities, indices, and so forth, right? This is a very broad skill that you're gonna get over time, that you can look at any given chart and you can almost be able to tell what can happen next, right? And it's not talking about predictions or crystal balls or things like that, but what we're going to talk about tonight is trading patterns, and these are the most important parts of the trading. But like I said, let's jump into developing the mindset, right? So you have the trader's mindset, which is seizing opportunities as they come to you, right? And then you have the investor mindset, which is the long-term vision, right? So as an investor, you're thinking long term. As a trader, you're thinking short term. All right. And I'll tell you the difference. When I'm analyzing the chart, for example, you see on my screen, I have the Bitcoin chart on the 5 minute time frame, right? So the smaller the time frame, that's the trader's mindset, right? I'm looking at opportunities as they come. If I want to become the investor mindset, I'll change my chart on, let's say, 4 hour time frame, where the trade will gonna take longer to play out. Or sometimes I'll jump on a 1 day, or sometimes on a weekly chart, because that gives me a way broader vision of where the market conditions are right now, and what I can do and what I can analyze on a bigger time frame to make sense for a long period of time, right? And we know with all assets, it's all about market cycles. There is no buy now, sell later, because you might buy now something and the asset might continue to go down even lower. And we'll talk about a couple of strategies as well. But developing the mindset, even though the trader's mindset and the investor mindset are different, they do um they do come together, because you still need to have discipline, right? You have to go out there, you got to spend the time to look at the charts, you have to educate yourself pretty much constantly. You have to do a lot of research. You have to get to adapt to each market conditions, right? So the trader and the investor, they do have to have discipline. They have to adapt to the market conditions, whatever those conditions are, right? They have to be able to control their emotions, right? And we're gonna talk a little bit later about how are we gonna do that and what actually it's involved, right? And the fourth thing that you need in order to become a trader or an investor, you need to have patience. All right. Without patience, you can't do anything. Nothing works in this very moment. Some of the trades take longer than others to play out. Sometimes the trades go against us and so forth. So we have to be ready to make a decision, right? And what's that decision? Everybody is losing money, right? I lose money. Hedge funds, bigger hedge funds than my hedge fund, are losing money, right? It's a vicious cycle, but it's part of the learning curve. We're learning constantly, right? That's where I said you gotta adapt, right? You gotta adapt. You gotta um, um, build this mindset of, hey, if the trade goes against me, how much am I willing to risk, right? And then we spoke about managing your emotions, right? This is a very important thing that you have to develop as a trader and as an investor, because the emotions are controlling us and they're getting the best of us, right? We have to learn how to manage the emotions, right? To make rational decisions. Because when the emotions are involved, we're not making rational decisions. All right. So the mindset is very important. If you guys decide to come on board with me, we're gonna go through a whole process of building the mindset to start off, because this is the foundation. This is the base of becoming a trader or an investor in the same time, right? So with that being said, let's jump on the charts, because that's where you will learn everything, right? I can talk for hours just about the mindset, right? I can talk for hours about how to manage emotions and how to overcome fear of making that decision, right? How you can learn, and it's a lifelong learning process that you're going to learn constantly, and you have to adapt also, right? But the conversation, it's about trading and learning how to trade. We spoke about patterns, right? And I trade patterns most of the time. That's my bread and butter. I did develop a couple strategies on my own, which I'll share with you guys a little bit later, and I'll show you some results as well. But patterns are what's driving the market, because everybody is trading patterns. So when we expect a certain breakout or breakdown, right, depending on where the market is heading, everybody is there to place their orders, right? We'll talk about the fake outs and how to avoid those, right? We'll talk about a little bit more in details right on the chart. So what you see on the screen right now, that's like I said, the Bitcoin chart on the 5-minute time frame. And what this time frame means, it means that one single candle, so these are our candles, right? Every single candle means 5 minutes. We have here a countdown on the screen. When the countdown stops to 0, a new candle starts, a new 5-minute starts, right? And we'll start with the basics, right? Well, let's pick a candle. So let's look at this green one over here, right? What this candle means, it means that it has an opening price, it has the fluctuation price, and then it has a close price, right? So we see as the body of the candle, it's closing, right? It closed on the green. That means the market pushed higher, right? Actually pushed higher all the way here, but over here there are some orders, some sell orders that they push the price lower, right? So the body of the candle means that the difference between opening and close, right? The wick, which is called the wick, this line right here, means that the price at some point got to this level within that 5-minute time frame, and then it got rejected to this level right here, right? So this is the simple explanation about a candle, right? There are more tutorials online. You can find them yourself. You know, I can go for hours and hours and hours. Usually people that take the course with me, they go through the process, and it takes about 6 months to learn how to trade. You know, some people learn faster, some people learn slower, so it depends on each person individually, but it takes time to learn how to trade, right? It's not an overnight thing. You're not gonna place, you know, $10,000 trades tomorrow, and so on, right? But there is definitely more to this. A combination of candles means price action, right? What is the price of this asset is telling me in this situation right now, right? And we've been talking about patterns, and there are a lot of patterns in the Telegram group that is part of the Golden Spades Academy. That's how my course is called. I outline the most important patterns in trading, right? As long as you can spot them, you can definitely be on the winning side of the trade, right? So talking about patterns, for example, right? This is previous price action. So this is what happened today, right? During the day and yesterday as well, right? So I'm looking at the price action. Let's say this didn't happen yet over here. How do I make my decision next? All right. So I'm looking at the pattern, and we draw a trend line, right? A trend line, what is a trend line? A trend line is a line that connects two lows or two highs, depending on how we're looking at the chart, right? The more touches we have on that line, the more valid it becomes. To be a valid trend line, you only need 2 points of contact, right? So this right here, it's a valid trend line, right? We have one touch, two touches. I can't draw a trend line like this because I don't have any price action to show me anything up here, right? So we have to connect 2 points on the charts, two highs in this case. So this is a high, this is a lower high, right? And this is a low and a higher low. So now this forms a symmetrical triangle, right? If we shorten this one up a little bit, it creates a symmetrical triangle, right? It's a triangle. Some people call this a wedge, right? We'll talk about wedges in a second. But this is a symmetrical triangle. A symmetrical triangle can break either direction. It can break on the upside, it can break on the downside. In this case, it broke on the downside. So when that happens, the reason why I'm using TradingView is because, first of all, TradingView is one of the best platforms for charting in the world at this moment. And second, TradingView lets me set alerts. I can set alerts on my own indicators. I can set alerts on my trend lines, right? So in this case, not knowing where the market will gonna go next, in this case, what do? I set two alerts, right? So I do a right click on this, add alert on the trend line, and here we have it. First, I have the lower trend line, so I want to know when the price is crossing down my trend line, right? I choose once per bar closed, so my confirmation is when the time frame closes. So the 5-minute candle, it's closed below my line. That's my confirmation. All right. So I choose once per bar close. I put an alert, right? Sell Bitcoin, right? And then the message right here. Next, I go to the notifications, and here is the best part. You can be anywhere in the world. If you have the app on your phone, you're gonna get notified through the app. If you have, let's say you have multiple charts that you're looking at. For example, I have 4 screens around me, right? I can look on other assets on a different screen. When the alert pops up on my screen, it's gonna pop up on all 4 my screens, no matter the asset I'm trading, right? So it gives me an alert, hey, it's time to sell Bitcoin, all right? It can play sound, it can send you an email, right? So you can be anywhere in the world and you're getting an email that, hey, it's time to sell Bitcoin. How fun is that, right? You don't have to spend countless hours just waiting for a trade to happen. You simply set up your chart, you set the alert, and you can go and do whatever you want with your life for the rest of the day. Sometimes it takes time for the trade to play out, right? And I'll show you exactly on the screen how long it took for the trade to play out, right? You also have the webhook, which I'm currently using the webhook because I have trading bots that are trading on my behalf. So this is a webhook to one of my bots. It picks up the signal that I'm giving the bot, and the bot opens up the trade for me. I don't have to be in front of the screen. I don't have to watch the chart. I don't have, all I do is I set my own indicators to the settings I want, and I hit create for my alerts, and done deal. I just walk away, right? I got to the point where I trade on a hedge fund level, right? I do have a hedge fund, so I have to free up my time as much as possible so I can create more value for me and for my investors, right? So I'm trading on the at the hedge fund level, right? You don't have to do that, right? You can still manage to take a couple trades a day or even a week, and you can still make a decent amount of money, right? So the bigger picture here is that this platform really helps you in so many ways, right? So after I choose the way I want to receive the alert, right, I hit create and done deal, right? So the moment I have this second high over here and this second low over here, I can already draw my chart. So in the meantime, I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, about 30 minutes to make a decision, right? I already saw what's going on, right? I also set an alert for the upper trend line. So I want when it's crossing up this time, right? Crossing up the trend line, once per bar close, and then my alert will be buy Bitcoin, right? And then I hit create, done deal, I can walk away, right? From this point on, I had 30 minutes to do something else before I got the alert. Once I got the alert, this is, I'll zoom in a little bit, this candle right here, so this red one over here, this is my trigger candle. This is where I have to make a decision. Hey, do I enter this trade or not? Right? And I can see it got rejected. So I have a lot of resistance above, and it broke the symmetrical triangle, right? And this is today's price action, right? We're talking this early morning right here, right? We're not talking yesterday, or we're not talking a week ago. This is simply today's morning, right? So about 8:15 in the morning, right? US time, Central, I got the alert. By 8:15, I should be awake. I should have already my coffee and be ready to trade, right? I like to trade markets opens, even though crypto it's a 24/7 thing. I like to trade markets open because that's when you get the most volatility in the market, especially the US. market open. This is a very important factor. You know, the stock market and crypto, even though they're two completely different assets, they almost move in the same way. All right. So this is my trigger candle. What do I do next? I go over here. With me, you're gonna also learn how to use TradingView, right? Over here on this side, I have long position and short position, right? Most people are afraid of shorting, you know, because of short squeezes, because whatever media is telling them, you know, and so forth, right? I'm not afraid because I take a calculated decision, right? When it comes to trading, I when I'm entering the trade, I know exactly how much I'm willing to risk and where exactly is my take profit target. All right. So I'm opening up a short position. If you're getting in 5 minutes later, guess what? You're entering at a better price, right? So the candle came right to my trend line, right? But let's not consider that. Let's consider that, hey, the moment I got the candle closed below the trend line, this is my trigger candle. So this is it, right? Now I set my alert to the previous high, right? This is the previous high on the chart, right? So this is my stop loss. If the price of Bitcoin is pushing above this, I'll be stopped out, right? So this is how much I'm willing to risk, 0.3, 0.33%, right? Now, usually for the take profit target, usually I go for 2 times the risk, right? So I want to have a risk to reward ratio of 2, right? 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So that means if I'm risking $1, I want to make 2, right? Does that make sense? Look what happened, right? By the time 11:25 came, my trade was successful, right? At this point on, if I want to keep trading, I can keep trading. There is a thing called stop loss, right? And it's you can also trail your stop loss. And what that means is once you get to the take profit target, don't close your trade completely. Move the stop loss to your entry, right? This way you're securing some money, right, on the table. In this case, by doing so, it was better to close the trade because it reached the profit and then it retraced above the entry level. So we would have been stopped out in this trade without making any money, right? So sometimes, you know, this is part of that mindset that I was talking in the beginning. When you have profit, take it, right? Because you don't know what will gonna happen tomorrow. You don't know what will happen in the next 2 hours, for example, right? Crypto is very volatile. It can change in a matter of minutes, right? When you have profit, take it, right? So this was better to take the profit, right? Some people want to wait longer. They want to see what's going on, right? The moment I took the profit over here, what do I see? The price action shoots up and comes and retests this level right here, right? So it broke this trend line, right? And it came back and retested it. Retested it. Usually the price action, when it breaks certain pattern, comes back and retest it. That means there are more sell orders in this area that never got picked up. So the price comes, usually people and institutions, they'll try to push the price higher so they get these orders, right? So I like to trade the retest as well. So for me, this would have been another short position right here, right? Once I see this rejection, so the price came over here to the trend line and then it got rejected. This is another trade for me, right? And then I'm targeting another two times the risk. So if I overlay, right, we can see that I had 2 successful trades in a matter of couple hours, right? And this is price analysis that you can do every single day, right? If you have the trader's mindset, right? Because I'm looking at opportunities as they come, right? So I want to seize that opportunity. Now, I was telling you guys about the investor's mindset, where you will have to be on a bigger time frame, right, to see the bigger picture. And I was telling you guys about the 4-hour time frame. Just a little bit the chart. Right, locking the scale. All right. So I was telling you guys about the 4-hour time frame. And you apply the same thing over here too. When it comes to trading, there are no limitations on what time frame are you trading on. And I'll give you a couple examples for people that want to know, okay, if I missed an entry, what do I do next? Because this is the best example that it can be, right? So I'm looking at the 4-hour time frame, right? We see Bitcoin over here came to 48,000, right? That was way back in March 29, 2022, right? So more than a year ago, right? So the 4-hour time frame means that each of these candles means 4 hours, right? That's where I fit so much information into one window. Over there, I could only see the price action that happened today and yesterday, right? Over here, I can see price action all the way to last year, right? So when it comes to becoming an investor, I switch to a bigger time frame. I want to see the bigger picture. Where is the market heading? All right. So we apply the same thing, the same rules, the same patterns, right? This time we have wedges, right? We spoke about the symmetrical triangle earlier. Now we have wedges. I can see them very clearly. For you guys, it might be a little bit harder just because you don't have the practice that is required to be able to spot this. But I can see multiple wedges, right? After a very extended downtrend, right? Look what happened with the price of Bitcoin, right? So this is called the falling wedge, right? Falling wedges usually have a 68% chance a 68% chance of breaking higher. All right. They do break on the downside, right? When they do break on the downside, because they're smaller percentage, right? So if we deduct this, there is about 32% chance of breaking lower, right? So let's do another text right here. All right, there is a 32% to break lower. The price goes parabolic. And what do I mean parabolic? It just keeps on going and keeps on going. And everybody's wondering until when the price action will stop dropping, right? So it goes something similar to this. So when the price action breaks lower, it just goes really fast down, right? So that's parabolic move, right? So usually the falling wedges, they break 68% chance of breaking higher. So they do break on the upside, right? So now we have this as an investor, right? I took this trade on January 12th. That's when Bitcoin broke higher. right? So since the beginning of the year, I would have still stayed in Bitcoin until, I'll show you in a second, until when, right? Until when I decide to take profits, because this is very important. Like I said, you don't want to get out of the trade too early. In the same time, you want to catch as much as possible of that trend as possible, right? Take the profit when you have it, but give the chart the option to show you what will happen next, right? And again, this is very close price action, so we're not talking about, you know, what happened 5 years ago or the previous bull run, right? We're talking simply price action that it's current, like right now, right? So I see a falling wedge over here that broke on the upside. That was in January, right? Next thing I see on the chart, I see another falling wedge. I'll zoom in a little bit. Does this look like a falling wedge? It does, right? The moment I have this low over here, I can draw my line. Now I know I have the lowest point of over here, right? The price action, the lowest point, it's here. The moment this wedge is breaking, right? Again, I set my alerts. I don't have to stay on the chart. So I see this low happening at 10 a.m. on Thursday on March 9. So this is a month later, right? A month later, I have another low, took until that was Sunday. So it was about 4 days, right, before I had to make a decision. So being on a higher time frame, it does put a different perspective on how soon do you need to make a decision, right? The other one was I only had 30 minutes to make a decision. Now with this, I had 4 days to make a decision, right? In 4 days, I didn't have to wait and watch the charts. I set my alerts and moved on, did something else until that Sunday when I got the alert and it was time to buy Bitcoin. So if I miss Bitcoin right here, right, I do have another opportunity over here, right? Now, if I miss this opportunity again, right, I got another small opportunity over here, right? Does this look like a falling wedge? It does, right? So this is overextended price action, right? So this we're talking from March 28th until June 14th. So we're talking about 2 months of data, right? The moment I have this second top right here, so I have a high and a lower high, right? The moment I have this, I can already draw my line. Why? Because I already have a valid trend line, right? So for me, this is a valid trend line. I can be, you know, as analytical as possible, right? I can do this and try to connect as many points on the chart. They still look like a wedge, right? This looks a little bit more of a channel, but it's still a wedge, right? If I extend this tip of the wedge, they'll close together at some point, right? So this is still a wedge. And the interesting part about this wedge, look where the recent price action almost stopped, right on the support of the wedge, right? But let's talk about this for now, right? I had another opportunity right here, right? That was June 20th, right? When Bitcoin broke again the falling wedge and headed higher. Now, after multiple rejections in this area, now I know that, hey, this area over here, there are a lot of sell orders, right? Because it tried to break this area. So this is what it's called the ceiling, right? So after trying multiple times, one time, right? And let's zoom in a little bit. One time, two times, three times, four times, it tried to break this level of 31,300, 31,500, close to 32,000. After trying to break this area multiple times, it failed, right? So it got rejected, right? Now, again, when we're talking bigger patterns, where do I take the profit? So first I missed this trade. But I got in this trade over here, right? Now it's time to reanalyze the chart. It's even I can leave my drawings or I can delete my drawings. And now I'm looking at the bigger picture again. Where is Bitcoin heading next, right? Knowing that this area about 32,000, it's a big resistance, right? Now it's time to look at the chart a little bit different. Now I have a low and a higher low, right? So this is a valid trend line, right? And then I have a high and a higher high, which creates a rising wedge this time. Rising wedges, like the falling wedges, they do have a 68% chance of breaking lower and a 32% chance of breaking higher. This one broke lower, right? So this trade we took over here on Bitcoin, we didn't make much out of it, right? Because this is the entry right here, and we got out right on this breakout over here, right? So we only did what, maybe a couple percentages or so. So about 5%, give or take. So we missed the bigger picture, right? Because first of all, we didn't know how to analyze the charts, right? Because if we knew, we could have taken advantage of this. But because we didn't and we got late in on learning how to trade, this is the best we could have made, right? In the same time, on this lower move, you could have opened up a short position. If you would have opened up a short position at this point, right, when it's breaking the wedge, you have been pretty much about 13% in profit. So you made 5% on the move up. Now you made 13% on the move down. It's still not the 2.1 to 2 risk to reward ratios, right? But if you ask me, on after 13% move on the price of Bitcoin, probably I'll have taken my profit at this point, right? Even though it's on the downside, some platforms out there, they allow you to short Bitcoin. For US citizens, it's a little bit harder to get access to those kind of platforms. But if I only took all the upside moves on the Bitcoin, right, all alone, let's do a couple measure moves, right? So this was the first breakout, okay, about 20%. This was the second breakup, about 23%, right? And then again, before we got out, was another 5%. So altogether, since the beginning of the year, just trading Bitcoin alone, we could have been close to 50% gain over time, right? And we're talking about 9 months almost. Who wouldn't take 50% gain over the course of the year, right? Who wouldn't take, 50% gain over the course of 2 years, right? When the average on the markets out there, it's about 7% a year, give or take. You alone, you could have made in less than 9 months you will have made 50%. And again, I'm not counting the short position either, right? Because this will have put us well above 50%. Just simply trading Bitcoin, just simply buying Bitcoin, right? So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. When you have profit, take it. Don't look, don't listen to the influencers because they have a lot of skin in the game. They're paid by all these projects to go out there and promote them, right? Choose assets that they've been on the market for a very long time. You have price action, and if I'm looking at this goes back years, right? And years. I think it starts right here, and this is 2019, right? Because this is the futures chart. It only starts in September of 2019, right? But I have a couple of years of price action on Bitcoin to be able to make a decision, right? To make a decision on a bigger scale as an investor, right? And I am able to make a decision on smaller time frames as a trader as well, right? Now, you ask me, okay, but how can I help myself get better at this, right? And there are indicators out there. I'll give you two of my favorite indicators, as I'll mention it right now to you guys. Two of my favorite indicators. I do have quite a few out there that are my favorites. I do have my own indicators that I created over time, right? So, if you guys decide to come on board, I'll share with you, and I'll share with you all my indicators that I created over time, not just one, right? But besides this, I like to use two indicators on my charts, especially when I was early on, when I was learning how to trade. I wanted to have just these two indicators on my chart. So the first one, it's called MACD, or moving average convergence divergence, and it looks like this. Let's zoom them out a little bit so we can see exactly how they look, right? So this is the MACD indicator. So it has two lines, a fast moving average, which is colored in blue. Let's see if we, sorry about that. So as you can see over here, there are two lines, right? A fast moving average, the blue line, right? You have the red line, which is a slower moving average, and then you have a histogram, which the histogram shows the direction of the trend pretty much at that specific time. All right. So people created strategies with this indicator over time because in some cases it gives a good trade, right? So they're using the cross to make a trading decision. So when the blue line is crossing downwards, the red line, like it happened over here, usually they take short positions, right? And when the blue line is crossing upwards, the red line, they take long positions, right? As we can see over here, on this case, when the blue line crossed, right, this is the exact time when the blue line crossed downwards the red line, right? It was a big dump, right? And we're talking about, right, 13, 14, even what, 15% drop. In the same time, it does give a lot of fake signals, right? Here we have some fake signals, right? Here we have some drops, but not significant, right? Over here, this is the best example. The blue line crossed on the upside, and then this was a sideways market, right? That's what I call it. When the price action doesn't do much, it's in a sideways movement, right? When the market is in a sideways movement, MACD is not great of using it to get signals, right? To create signals for yourself. So when I'm trading the charts without any algorithm, without any help from anybody, right? I want at least two indicators on my chart, right? And now we're going to add the second indicator, which is called RSI, or Relative Strength Index. Let's see, Relative Strength Index. And it looks like this, right? The way I like to trade this, usually I go and I change a little bit the settings because I want confluence. I want the chart and my indicators to match wherever happens in the market, right? And this is a good example over here. Let's say I was in the Bitcoin trade for a while, right? I took this entry right here, as I mentioned earlier. Now, where do I take the profit? It's even I wait for the trend to be broken, or I utilize the indicators to make a decision. And this is one very good example, right? We have a top over here, right? That got rejected multiple times, one time, two times, three times. So I'm looking at this, right? First, I can draw my trend lines to see what's going on, right? On the charts. So now I see this looks like a rising channel. All right. So having the rising channel, again, rising channels, rising wedges, they do tend to break on the downside. So now I'm looking for confluence, right? What do I mean by that? I want the charts, the price action, and the indicators to show me the same thing, right? So now I see MACD over here crossing downwards, right? The blue line crossing the red line down. But I also have a cross on the RSI. The RSI is crossing the moving average. So the RSI is this squiggly line over here. And then the moving average based on the RSI is the yellow one, right? So in this case, I have a break on the downside on the RSI, which is matching the break on the downside on the MACD. Now I can feel confident enough because I see rejection at this price point, right? So after trying to break this 30,000 level, it didn't, right? So first of all, I have the rejection, and now I'm looking at confluence on my indicators, right? Now I feel confident I can take a trade over here. Not only take a trade, but take a good trade, right? So this level right here, this is my entry. All right. Now I set my stop loss. It's even I set it at the trend line, right? That connected these two tops over here, where I'm looking at the previous high, which is a little bit far, but it still makes sense for this trade to play out, right? So now this is my stop loss. If Bitcoin is gonna push up 7%, right, I'll be stopped out. In the same time, I'm shooting again for that 2.1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. And look what happened to this trade. Even though I was risking 7%, which usually that's a big risk, especially on Bitcoin, it's still this trade managed to close in profit. So now I entered this trade with $1,000. Now I have $2,000 because of this move, right? If you're applying leverage, it's a little bit trickier. You can make way more money, but also you can lose more money as well. right? But usually I like leverage. So for Bitcoin, usually I go between 20 and 50 times the money. $1,000 would have been close to $8,000 trade, right? So when you're looking at the bigger picture, you can still make decisions. When you're looking on the short time frame periods, you can still make a decision. Now it's up to you to make a plan for yourself. Without a plan, you have no direction. You don't know where you're heading, right? So first of all, you need to have direction. You need to know, hey, I want to become a trader. This is what I want to do in my life, right? It's even to supplement my income, or to turn this into a full-time job, right? For myself, trading, right? I have people that took my course over time and they went on their own and they start trading on their own. There are still people that are still in the group because they like the fact that I'm building a community, right? If they have the chance to consult with somebody about trades, if they want a second opinion on certain things, they have that. Plus, every week I'm doing a class. So this is way completely different than what other people are doing out there. I'm not going to give you a PDF and say, hey, read this and you'll become a trader. There is no such thing. It takes time, it takes skill, and most importantly, it takes dedication to get to a certain level. If you don't have the dedication for it, this is not for you, right? I might be blunt, but hey, this is the truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm here to tell you how it is, right? You'll lose all your money if you're on the wrong side of the trade, right? So when it comes to trading, like I said, some people want to do it because they want to supplement their income. Some people want to turn this into a full-time job. Some people, like some of my students, they had their own thing going on. They had their own businesses, and they came to me and say, hey, how about I give you the money and you trade it for me, right? And that's where the idea of the hedge fund came in a couple years ago. Yes, I can do that, but I gotta have contract in place and be able I secure the funds the right way, right? So you can do this passively too with me, right? But there are certain rules, certain limitations that will be applied, because if you're coming with $1,000 and say, hey, do it for me, that's not going to happen, right? There are certain minimum amounts to come on board with the fund and so forth. So like I said, there are certain limitations when it comes to doing this passively. But why do it passively when you can do it yourself? And there is a bad mindset out there, or people think that it takes a lot of money to make money. In reality, it depends how you want to trade and what's your strategy. We saw here, right? We saw that within 9 months on Bitcoin alone, on the buy side alone, without shorting anything, you could have made close to 50% in profit, right? If you invested $1,000, you will have been at 1,500, right? Do this year after year after year after year, right? I'm not saying after 9 months, you still have 3 more months to go, but let's do, because this is the best example. This is a website I like to use. A lot of times I go to this just to show people what it's possible. And we're gonna give the example that we showed today on Bitcoin alone, right? And again, I'm not promising you anything. This is all you making the decision, you having control over your accounts. You're the one opening up the trades and everything. Start with $1,000, right? And you do a 50% a year, right? Over the next 10 years. You can turn $1,000 into 133,000 if you're sticking to this all by yourself, right? This might not be a big number for some, but start thinking percentages. Think about the money you invested in versus the money you pulled out. If you do only few trades a year, couple times a year, you don't even have to be in front of the screen all the time. Sometimes on a bigger time frame, it takes months for the trade to play out, right? Think percentages, right? Let me give you another example about percentages. You go to the store, you buy a bag of potatoes, right? You used to pay $4 for it. Now it's 5, right? It's not just a dollar. If you're thinking percentages, that's 25% more, right? So you're paying 25% more for the same bag of potatoes that you were buying last year. The same bag of potatoes, nothing changed, right? So start thinking percentages in your life are going to change forever. Look at this percentage return. You're talking 13,000% just doing a couple trades a year and knowing when to take profit and when to exit the trades. How about you go on a smaller time frame, on the 5-minute time frame, and you can do 2 or 3 or 4 trades a week. I'm not saying you're gonna match 50% a week, but it's possible, right? But let's play another example. Be consistent. Try to do 2 trades every day. 2 trades with $1,000, right? And I'm not talking 50% a day, which again, it's possible in trading. We're talking about 1% a day. 1% a day, that means $10 out of the $1,000, right? So that's 1%. And we're not talking about 10 years, we're talking about 1 year. 1%, make 1% and compound the account, right? So if today you made $10, tomorrow you gotta do 1% out of $1,010, right? And then tomorrow you do 1% of $1,020 and so forth, right? Use the compound effect, and you're gonna see that a small percentage like this can turn into something like this in just a year. That's 23 times the money you invested in. And again, we compounded it monthly. You want to see what happens if you compound it daily? Now within a year, you're going to make 36 times the money that you invested in. You want to do this over the next 10 years? The numbers are insane. All it takes is 1% a day. You got to become 1% better every single day. This is an error. The calculator doesn't know how to calculate this in terms of percentages, right? But after this amount over here, I'm losing track. It only takes 1% a day to improve your account, 1%. I'm not saying you're not going to lose trades, but you got to make it back somehow, right? Now coming back to our chart, it's very important to understand when to take the entries and when to take the exits from the trades. For those that have access to international platforms, you can learn how to buy or sell long and short on some of these platforms because they do allow this kind of things. Imagine doing percentage, right, on leverage, right? Imagine that 1% can actually be 50% because you're doing a 50x leverage on your trade, right? We can talk more and more about this, right? But we're spinning in circle by the end of the day. If you don't know when to take the entries and when to take the profits, it's useless. That's why people got wrecked in crypto. That's why crypto got a bad name for it, because everybody lost money in crypto. But why did they lose money? When I showed you, you could have made 50% in less than a year, right? How can you lose money when you know when to make the decisions and how to make the decisions, right? It's about education. If you're not educated, you'll make mistakes. And that's the case of millions of people that lost money in crypto. They're not educated. They listen to their cousin to buy Bitcoin at 40,000, 50,000, some of them 65,000, right? They listen to their uncle, hey, buy Bitcoin right now, buy Ethereum right now because it's gonna double it in price, right? And most people got in the top of the market. I predicted in my group, I predicted the top way before any other influencers came out and said, this is the top, guys, it's time to pull your funds out, right? The influencers out there, again, they're not in there to help you out. They're in for themselves. They might have some hidden motives. They might have a huge crowd, a huge following, and they're thinking that if they're promoting certain projects or if they're talking about certain coins, the price are going to move in a certain direction. But the thing is, when you take a calculated decision, you can't be influenced by anyone else but just the charts. The charts are telling you the story what to do next. It's not about your cousin, it's not about your uncle, it's not about your good buddy that he read in an article that Bitcoin is gonna go to $1 million a piece, right? That might happen, that might not happen. In the meantime, make the most with what you have. Learn how to trade and be done with it. Learn when to enter and when to exit the markets. Because once you learn this is a lifelong skill. Once you learn this, you can't unlearn it. You will have this skill for the rest of your life. You're losing your job tomorrow, you can always come back to trading. You took a bad trade, you can always come back to this, but learn what you did wrong and why you entered that bad trade to begin with, right? So let's drop some of these indicators. This is my latest strategy I've been working with, and I optimize it for the 5-minute time frame. Let's zoom in the chart a little bit. All right, so if people ask me all the time, it's like, how did you know where the market is going, right? I was able to develop strategies, and I do have multiple strategies, some of them still in the works. I'm developing strategies so I don't have to be in front of the screen, right? So for me, spending less time in front of the screen is more important. Why? Because I have a 16-month-old baby. I want to spend time with my family. I want to be out there. I don't want to be in front of the screen, right? So for me, it's very important to be able to do this. And like I said, I'm using trading bots that pick up my signals and open up trades for me, you know, to make it as passive as possible. So this is one strategy that I created. It's based on the Ichimoku Cloud. Ichimoku Cloud, it's another indicator, something similar with the MACD and the RSI that shows trend, right, in direction of the trend. So I created this strategy and I optimize it based on the 5-minute time frame for Bitcoin. And it takes a little bit of time. It takes about a couple hours or so to optimize it based on each asset I want to trade, right? But the results are very decent, right? So when I'm looking at this is the backtesting version. TradingView also does backtesting on your strategies. We can see that he got a 74% profit gain, right? Over 48 trades. He won 62.5% of all the trades, a profit factor over 5.9, and the max drawdown. When I'm creating the strategy, I want the drawdown to be as less as possible, right? I want to lose as less as possible, right? So over here, if I compare it, I made 74%. I only lost less than 7, right, with this strategy. So I think this is a good strategy. All these trades happened in a period of less than 2 months. Well, a little bit over 2 months, right? 2 months and 10 days, right? So within 2 months, right, other people made on a bigger time frame, the investor time frame, right? They made 50% in 8 months. I was able to do 74% in 2 months, right? Because I developed strategies and I developed ways of trading where I don't have to be there, right? So I beat myself to this. I beat my investor's mindset to this, right? Just because I wanted to become a trader and be able to trade on a daily basis, right? Now you're asking me, is this thing working for any other assets? Yes. Let's talk about it, right? This is Tesla. Again, optimized for the 5-minute time frame. You want to see how the numbers look on Tesla. So for Tesla, he only took 7 trades with a profit gain of 60%. He won 57.14% of all the trades, profit factor over 14, almost 15, right? And the drawdown on this, it's less than 15%. I'll take anything with a drawdown less than 20 any given day, as long as the profit makes sense. So we're risking, this is a 3-to-1 pretty much risk to reward ratio, right? A little bit more than that, right? I risked 14% to make 60, right? In reality, for Tesla, it took about 4 months to get to this performance, right? So stocks are moving slower, right, than crypto, right? But yes, this strategy was optimized again for Tesla. Does it work on Forex? Let's see what happened with Forex. 5-minute time frame, euro against US dollar, right? Want to see some results? Let's see some results. He gained 18% over 15 trades. Forex in general, it's a little bit more predictive than anything else. It moves slower, right? So I was able to get 86.67% win rate. Profit factor, this is insane, over 30. And the max drawdown, it's only 1.88%. So I risked 1.88% to make 18%, right? That's almost 10 times the risk. So this is the risk to reward ratio of 1 to 10, right? Smaller percentages, but again, you can trade Forex with leverage. If you multiply this by 100x, 200x, even 400x, some of these platforms like Wanda, right, they'll let you use higher leverage, right? If you use that over time, and let's go back to this because it's getting better and better, right? So it only took 3 months, right? If you multiply that 18% with 100x leverage, that would have been 18 times the money you invested in 3 months. If you started with an account of $1,000 and you traded that same account over and over again for the past 3 months, only on indicator, only on the signals from the strategy alone, right? You could have made 18 times the money, right? I do have quite a few more over here, a couple of them still in the works, right? But with that being said, being part of the trading group, right, the trading classes, trading course, whatever you want to call it, gives you access to all this. But wait, there is more, right? This is the website, right? Golden Spades Academy. This is where you can go in, you can read about, right? You'll have access to the buy and sell indicators. You will learn how to trade. I'm sharing news and market updates with you guys. Plus, there is a 24/7 chat group where people can go in, post their ideas, ask about, hey, what do you think about this? And in the same time, I'm trying to make this affordable for everyone. Everybody is out there is charging tens of thousands of dollars a year just to be part of some signals, and they give you a PDF file to read and you'll become a trader by doing so. Well, this one, it's completely different. First of all, you have the live classes where you can actually ask your questions live on Zoom, right, with me, just like right now, right? You'll have support, constant support over time, right? You're gonna have access to the strategies and the indicators I'm using and I developed myself to help me trade, right? You can have access to everything, right? And some people say, okay, how do I know if this is for me, right? This is an easy option. Pay for a month, it's only $200. Pay for a month, come to 4 classes, do what I'm telling you to do, and if after 4 classes, if you're not happy with it, you can say, hey, I'm done. I don't want to be part of this, right? Some people want to go for the 6 months, right? And that's where you get a pretty good discount, a 20% discount versus paying monthly, right? So it's $1,000 for 6 months, or the best deal that I can ever give to anyone is the 1,500 for the year. Take the 1 year option. You'll walk away learning how to trade. You're gonna have access to all the indicators that I developed over time, and on top of that, you're gonna gain a skill that will gonna last you a lifetime. If you ask me, I'll pay 1,500 to learn how to trade versus paying over $100,000 for college over 4 years and still have to pay that back for years to come after that. If this doesn't make sense for you guys, trading is not for you, right? It's simple as that. But I think this is a good opportunity for everybody to learn how to do this, especially being in the field, especially being in crypto. Once you learn this, again, this doesn't stop with crypto. This keeps on going to the stock market. It goes, as you saw examples, right? This goes into Forex as well. This goes into commodities. You want to trade oil futures? Go ahead. You're going to learn by the time you're done going through these classes, you'll be able to trade anything you want. You will be able to watch a real estate chart and see where the market in real estate is and make a decision if this is a good time to buy a house or not, or if this is actually a good time to sell your house that you bought about 7, 8 years ago, right? So everything gets a cycle. Markets are a cycle, learning are a cycle, right? You go through these cycles in life with a goal. What's your goal? Create a plan for yourself. What do you want to do for the next year, for the next 2 years, for the next 5, 10 years? And where do you want to be? Do you think trading is something that will help you achieve your goals or not? It's simple as that, right? Go on the website, read everything about you. If you go on the section over here, meet the founder, this is my bio, this is who I am, this is what I do, right? Besides this, I do have a hedge fund. I don't have the website live yet for the hedge fund because I'm working on creating a new back office for it. But I do have a hedge fund. If you guys want to invest passively in, I can show you the type of returns possibly you can get invested passively in the fund. So if you guys are interested in anything, you guys have questions about any type of chart, anything related to technical analysis, don't hesitate to talk to me, right? I'll help you guys out. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for being here. I wish I had more time to go over everything. It's been almost an hour and a half. Usually the classes last the same, about an hour and a half to 2 hours. They're every Thursday night at 6. That's when I do the classes. In special cases, I do record them, but very rarely because I do want you guys to be there. So in case if you want to sign up for the classes, I want you to dedicate your time and be present at the classes. I'm not gonna just let you watch a video, that I recorded for you a while back at your convenience. I want you to dedicate the time and put the time into this because this can be a life-changing experience. But with that being said, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking time to listen to me. I hope this was a productive class. I hope you guys are walking away at least with something. So until next time, see you guys in the markets.